Hello and welcome back. I'm Paul. And today we finished up a batch in the Lotto Tumbler. And they were a batch of misfit rocks kind of, but we might do a video on those later. But we have an empty Lotto barrel. We've got enough rocks that are ready to go into medium. So we're going to start a new batch. It's basically just a batch of random stuff. We've got some blue lace agate. I'm pretty excited to see how that turns out. Some of this stuff looks pretty nice. And I've got a slab of some Jasper. All this stuff is from our weekly videos on our 12-pound barrel. We're running that in course all the time. And we've got a couple other 1-pound barrels running course. And then we do the rest of everything in this. The medium and the pre-polish and the polish. This is a piece of petrified wood. We collected that locally here. So we'll see how that looks. And we've got another piece of petrified wood. A lot of that petrified wood seems to have some cracks in it, but it is what it is. There's a piece of I think it's a Jasper. It's an end cut. We cut some slabs on it. I think there's actually a slab off of it. It's got a little bit of stuff going on, and there's a little bit of red to it. This is another slab off of that piece. It's got a little more red to it and some specks. We're just messing around to see how they turn out when we polish them in the tumbler rather than doing it like on a flat lap. And I've got the polishing pads that you can polish them on, but we're just checking it out, see how they turn out in there. We've got quite a few Botswana agates in this batch. We've had a lot of them that are coming out of coarse grit, and they're starting to look good, and they're ready to go to medium. So there's a handful there. We actually might have too many rocks for the barrel this time. We've got a nice piece of unakite. I think that one's going to turn out real nice. It's a pretty good sized piece, and it's got a lot of nice colors in it. And we've got this piece of red Jasper. And what else? We've got quite a few pieces of yellow Jasper in here. We'll look at some of those. There's some of our pieces of yellow Jasper. Some of them have, like, I don't know if it's an agate or what it is, but that vein in there, if you get it at the right angle with some light, it has some transparency to it. So I'm not sure what that is. If it's just a crack that got healed in the rock, I've heard people talk about that. I'm assuming that's what it is because you can't feel it. It's all filled in. Just a different color. And let's see, what else do we have? There's a couple more pieces of unakite in here. There's that one. And this one. I believe that the green rock is epidote and the pink rock is a type of feldspar, if I remember right. I think that's what I've heard on some other things that I've watched. And there's a few more pieces of the blue lace agate. We got a little bit of that when we were in the Black Hills this last summer, and I've been working on it a long time, trying to get it to the point where we're ready to polish it, and I think it's ready now. What else do we have in here? Looks like we've got a few Bahi agates in here. There's a few of those we'll look at. This one's one of my favorites. It's got some pretty cool lines on it. It's actually a piece that we cut off of a bigger one. And then, oh, this might be the other side of it, actually. They've got the same bands. We just cut some in half because they're kind of boring on the outside, as you can see. But then when you cut them and you see the inside, some of them had some neat stuff in there. So we cut some of them. And this one is just kind of, you can kind of see some faint lines on the sides. Like there's a white line you can see, but it's fairly boring. But it was too small. We weren't going to cut it. This is another one that we cut. What else? I've got some of this green rock, and I'm not sure if it's like Amazonite or quartzite. I've looked it up a couple of times, and I'm pretty sure, I can't quite tell exactly what it is. It came in a random box we had. But these ones are looking pretty nice. That one might be able to be a necklace of some sort, but we'll see. I'm sure Alyssa would love that. All right, we've got more Botswana agates here. Ooh, this is one of our favorites. I'm pretty excited to have that one polished. I think it's going to look really, obviously it looks really cool already, but once it's polished, I think it'll look really nice. And here's some more. None of these have anything really cool. Pretty nice though. All right. We've got some more pieces of red Jasper. And that's those. These ones all got some different lines and stuff going on. So those should be nice. One more piece of blue lace. This blue lace doesn't really have a lot going on with it, but we wanted to try it. And some more Botswanas. Let's see, that's about all of them, I think. Nothing more. Yeah. So there's some more of our Botswanas. Get all those in there. Here's some random, I believe this is all some kind of a Jasper that we've gotten. Yeah, those are awesome. Random Jaspers. Not a lot going on, but there's some nice reds and yellows and browns and stuff going on there. And looks like there's one piece of rose quartz. It's hard to see it's rose quartz with my fingers, but compared to the other stuff, I can tell it's got the rose color to it. I can't really get it. And then there's quite a few pieces of clear quartz that we have here. One of those might have just a little pink tint to it. There's all clear quartz. Like I say, the one might have a little bit of a pink tint to it, but we'll see when it's all polished. All right, this is some kind of an agate. I don't even know what it is, but it's got some like blue in it, and it's almost like mossy. I'm pretty excited to get it polished, and we'll get a flashlight on it. We'll get some better looks at it when it's all polished, but I think it's going to turn out nice. And let's see, I think the rest of this is just all some random little stuff. There's a tiny little piece of petrified wood. It was actually part of another one that we had, and it broke off. Little piece of Jasper, a couple more small Botswana agates. That one's got really cool bands on it. We'll stay focused. Another random Jasper and some more Jaspers. That's some kind of an agate. And some more Jaspers. All right, that's everything we had in our tote. So we'll put a little bit of ceramic media. I've got a mix of large and small here. It's all been washed real well from the last batch. And that should do it. We will we'll add 2 tablespoons of this 180-220 medium grit So we'll do 2 tablespoons of that. First, I might have to add a little bit more ceramic media to that. We'll tip it upside down with your fingers over the lid, and you let the water run out. And we'll put it on the Lotto tumbler, and we'll add the 2 tablespoons of the medium grit, and we'll let it go for like at least 2.5 days. I'll try to get 3 out of it, but we'll see what time we have. And then we'll be back when we're done with the medium grit. Our rocks in the Lotto tumbler have been going for 3 days in the 180-220 medium grit, so it's ready to wash them out, clean them all up, and move them on to pre-polish. Some stuck in the bottom there a little bit. I have an issue with medium grit sometimes, wanting to not roll very well. Might have gummed up in the bottom a little bit. Got going on now. A lot of nice colors in that batch. The blue lace and the red Jasper and Unikite and all kinds of cool stuff going on in that batch. I like it. All right, I'm gonna wash them a little bit better and clean the barrel out real good, and I'll be back to get them going on pre-polish. Okay, everything's been washed really well. The barrel is cleaned up good. There's some water in there. You want to have a little water in the Lotto barrel when you're putting your rocks back in, but everything's looking really nice. Obviously it's wet there, so it looks nice and shiny. If it were to dry off, it would still be dull, but everything's ready to go back in the Lotto. Too much water in that. I forgot to mention earlier that we had this slab of Jasper in there, and I found the lid popped off the top of the lotto tumbler like 3 times within an hour after we started it 3 days ago. So I ended up taking it out, and the lid never popped off again. So it must have been either too full or this piece was too big, and it was popping the lid off. So I'm going to have to try to run that in a later batch. But everything else is still in there. So when we go to the pre-polish, this is what the pre-polish looks like. It's like 500 grit silicon carbide, and it is a very fine powder. And that's a half a teaspoon scoop in there. It'll get 1/2 teaspoon and also 1 tablespoon of borax. So we'll dump the water out. I'll get it on the tumbler so everything inside is wet with no standing water. We'll add the borax, and we'll add the 1/2 teaspoon of pre-polish, and it will go for another 3 days, and we'll be back. Today, the lotto tumbler has been running for 3 days in the pre-polish, which is like 500 grit silicon carbide. So we're gonna, I already put some water and some Dawn dish soap in there to help clean them up a little bit here when we rinse them, and then I'm gonna put them back. After we wash them a little, we're gonna put them back in the barrel and wash the rocks and barrel for a couple of hours with borax to get the barrel and everything cleaned real well before we put them into the polish stage. So we're going to rinse them off quick, and we'll do that. The handle broke off my hose end here, so I have to improvise and use my screwdriver until I make it to get another one, and I didn't make it. It just broke on me yesterday. That's in my plans. On this. Everything in there is looking really nice. It's gone through the 500 grit silicon carbide, the pre-polish, and it all wet, of course, but it all looks really nice. make sure everything's wet. I will cover the top like you do with a lotto and dump all the water out so there's no standing water, but everything's wet. And I'll put it on the tumbler and we'll let it run for a few hours with like a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons, whatever, of borax, just to clean the rocks really well and clean the barrel, because I do all 3 stages in the one barrel. It's the only one I have, and we'll get it ready. So we're ready to go into polish. I'll have everything nice and clean. So we'll be back after we run for a couple hours with the borax. Okay, we've been going for a couple hours in the borax just to get the barrel and the rocks extra clean to get them ready to go to polish. We'll rinse them off one more time. I just put them in a tub of clean water, and I just kind of rifle through them a little bit just to make sure that all the soap is off, and another little rinse cycle for them. All right. So we'll get some water in our lotto barrel. I gotta pick up a new hose end today or tomorrow. I'm tired of using my screwdriver. It's only been one day. Alright, everything's rinsed off really well. We'll get it back in the barrel here and we'll be ready to go to polish. All right, there we are. And if you've never been around the polish here, I think this is like 1200 aluminum oxide. And it's really fine. And that's a half a teaspoon in there, and it only takes 1/2 teaspoon of polish when you do it in the Lotto tumbler. That's one of the nice things about the Lotto is it uses a lot less polish. So I'm going to dump the water out of it so everything's wet, but no standing water. And we'll get it on the tumbler with 1/2 teaspoon of the aluminum oxide polish and 1 tablespoon of the borax. And it'll go for a couple of days. I'll go at least 2. I'll see how it's rolling, and I might let it go a little bit longer depending on what I've got going on, but it'll go at least 2 days, maybe up to 3. And we'll be back, and they'll be ready to rinse off and be done. The rocks in polish and Lotto tumbler are done today. And we have time, so we're going to rinse them, and we're going to put them back in with some borax soap and run a little burnish cycle on them. But we'll rinse them out quick and kind of take a look and see how they're looking. They ran for 3 days in polish. Ooh, they feel nice and smooth. All right, I think we're just going to load them right back in the tumbler, right in the barrel, and I'll do a tablespoon of borax, and we'll let them run for a couple hours, and then we'll do a final rinse and get some video or pictures of them all dry. Some blue lace and some unakite, some Botswanas and red Jasper and petrified wood, and some other stuff. Alright, rocks are in, full of water. We'll dump the excess water out with your hand over the barrel and just let it go until the water quits flowing so everything's wet with no standing water. We'll put them on the tumbler for a few hours with a tablespoon of borax, and then we'll do a final rinse. Here they are after burnishing for, I think they went for about 3 hours, and then I dried them, cleaned them again and washed them, and they ended up drying overnight because I didn't have any time to make the video yesterday. So we're going to have a little look at how they turned out. They all took a really good shine. I'm really happy with them. It's one of our best batches yet. And we'll take a closer look at some of these. Got to get my tripod to stand still here. So we got the blue lace agate. It's got some stuff on it that is like, I don't know, it had like a outer layer on it that it was hard to tumble off, and any of that that's still left on it gives it just a little bit of a, but it was getting so thin that I didn't want to tumble it anymore, so we'll see. We've got those. There's one more, I guess. You can see it shined up really nice. So that's all of our blue lace agate, and then this is one of our slabs. I think it's a piece of Jasper that we had cut. And you can see it shined up really nice. And then this is another piece of that same rock. This is the end cut. This is what the outside of the rock looked like. We decided to cut it. And there wasn't as much going on the inside as I hoped, but it still polished up really nice. And then we've got some red Jasper. All of these ones, they all look really nice. I might try to take some pictures of a couple of them at the end, put them on the end of the video here today. I haven't really done much of that yet, but we might give it a shot today. That one right there is my favorite. It just turned out awesome. And then we've got some yellow Jasper. I think there's a few pieces of that. And all of this stuff turned out really nice as well. I like the lines in that one. Yeah, so those all turned out really nice. Oh, haha, bumped my camera. I need to change my setup. And then I've got this green rock that we've been watching through the cycle. And it turned out really nice. I think maybe we'll try to turn that into a pendant or something. It's got a good shape for it. It turned polished really nice. And there's another, I don't know if it's the same material as that, but it's something close. It turned out pretty decent also. It's got a little crack in there, but there's no getting rid of that. And we've got this piece of petrified wood, and I was kind of disappointed with that a little bit, because you can see that those bands on the top side here, the rings, didn't polish all this spot right here. The top itself polished really nice, and then the bottom is decent, but something about the material that it has, I don't know, voids in it. I don't know what you would call it, but it didn't turn out as nice as I was hoping, but it still looks pretty good. And then we had this other little tiny piece of petrified wood. This one actually broke off of a bigger piece that we have. I think it's like agatized wood or something. And we've got, this is our Botswana Egg that we've been following. And that one turned out really cool. It's got all those black and white stripes, bands. I think that's going to go in our favorites bucket that we have in we've got one bowl in the house that has our favorites. So I think that one's going in there. And we've got a whole bunch of Botswana agates in here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they all, I think that's what I like about this one, is that it looks just a little bit different than the rest. Just color-wise, because it doesn't have the blues and the blacks. It's mostly black and white. So there's some of the Botswana agates. That one's got a little crystal pocket on it. And they all turned out really nice. And we've got some Baja agates. This one doesn't have a lot going on. It's got some bands on it there. Otherwise but it shined up really nice. I mean, it looks really good. I have such a hard time getting this camera to focus. I might have to get a different camera. And then this is another Baja agate. This is one of my favorites. It's got all those bands in it. And it polished up so nice. And I think this is the other half of that same agate. We cut it. You can see how nice it shined up. And the back side of it looks like this. They're fairly boring on the outside. You can see some of the bands, but when we cut it, I was really happy with how it looked like inside. And this is another Baja agate. This one's got more subtle banding in it. It also turned out really nice. It polished up really good. You can see there. So yeah, those are pretty nice. And then, we've got some Untitled here. We'll look at some of those. That's one of our pieces of Untitled. And here's another piece of the Untitled that we have. That stuff polishes up pretty good, but it doesn't take the mirror. You can see that there's some little voids in it. It doesn't take the same polish as some of the Jaspers and the Botswana agates do, and the Baja agates. Some of those are more, I think it's smaller crystals in the rock or something like that that make it polish up even better. So then we've got some different quartz here. We got some clear quartz and some rose quartz. And it all polished up really nice. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they're all about the same. They've got the internal fractures that you can see because they're so clear, but they all shined up nice. And another piece of Untitled. And then we've just got some random Jaspers, some Botswana agates. This is some kind of an agate. I think it's a moss agate. It's got the blue in it, you can see. But it's real mossy. I don't know if I shine the light on it, if it helps in the camera or not. But see how you can see all the moss in it? And it's like perfectly smooth. As you can see there at the top of it. There's no imperfections at all, but it's got that. You can't see it normally, but you get that light on it. And you can just see that moss in there. Makes that blue really glow. So that one's a nice one. Otherwise, we just have more Botswana agates and some more Jaspers. Oh, this is one more piece of petrified wood that we have. If it'll focus. And it turned out pretty good. Yeah, you can see there that one just shined up really nice. Here's another Botswana. That one's pretty nice. I like that one. It turned out really good. That side's kind of boring, but it's got bands coming off this corner. And let's see. This one's kind of neat. It's a Botswana agate. Those white spots are in the rock. You can't feel them or anything like that, and the rest of it's fairly boring, but the bands running through this side I think are pretty neat. It's got one little spot on the corner there, but I didn't know if we'd be able to get rid of it. I don't know why it's orange, but it is what it is. This is a nice, pretty nice piece of Jasper that we've got. It was out of a random box that I bought, and it's got some pretty cool details going on in it. Shined up pretty nice. I didn't realize that that had so much going on in it until I got it in the camera. You can really see it. Alright, and there's the rest of what we got. It's just a lot of Jaspers and some more Botswana agates and all that stuff. So I'm going to try to do some pictures here and try to tag them on the end of the video of some of the cool stuff on some of the cooler ones. And other than that, thanks for watching. And we'll be making some more videos here soon. I've got another batch that we're going to possibly make some videos of real soon. So thanks for watching.